Hello everyone, it's Michael Lazar here, and welcome back to the channel. And in today's video, we are going to be reacting to my favorite woman chanter. Her name is Sister Katherine, and she's in the Monastery of St. Kyriaki in Lutro, Greece, which is about an hour outside of Thessaloniki. And the reason why I want to kind of make this video is because, a lot of times I've had people ask me, who are good woman chanters to listen to? And time after time, I always have to be like, this is the gold standard. And the thing is, a lot of people don't know about her because they don't know much of the Arabic language, or they don't find themselves really wanting to listen to it because it's hard to understand. But in today's video, I'm going to try to extract a lot of the musical and expressivity, concepts you'll find in her chanting, and help you try to apply it in your own way. Now, I just want to kind of talk about her and the monastery story. So, they were nuns in Aleppo, Syria, and they were under Metropolitan Paul, and because of the war in Syria, things were getting a lot more difficult to live in. It was a lot more violent. Even now, a lot of the although there was regime change in Syria, there's still a lot of oppression towards Christians. As we saw with the church bombing of St. Elias Church only a few months ago. So, Metropolitan Paul, wanting to give some safety to the sisterhood that was under his wing, brought them to this monastery in Greece. And, well, unfortunately, he was kidnapped. So his whereabouts are still unknown. And the sisters were left without a metropolitan in a land that is not their own land. Their land is in Syria, and having left Syria and now in a foreign land, learning how to adapt to that and learn how to pray and be hopeful when there's so much war going on. And it was also a blessing for the monastery in return. The monastery only had a few nuns, and they were getting really old in age. And one of the nuns said, this monastery is going to be populated once war comes. And the prophecy was about the war in Syria. So I just wanted to give some background about this monastery. And I had a chance to visit last year, and it really is a beautiful community of nuns praying together, both in Arabic and Greek. And it's really one of the most beautiful monasteries I've been to. Not just looks-wise, but I mean hospitality-wise. I felt the nuns are very hospitable and kind and friendly, and they're some of the best chanters I've ever heard. So, those go hand in hand. And the reason why I think, analyzing them and listening to them is important is because the American, Byzantine landscape, and just not just American, but worldwide, there's always a shortage of female representation in Byzantine chant. And you can take with that what you will, but part of just being a shortage is a lack of solid role models and chanters to listen to and learn from. And I think that when there is somebody who is as exceptional and as talented as Sister Katherine, you should really take time to learn from her, because I feel that someone like her should be influencing every female chanter in the entire world. So in today's video, my hope is to kind of extract some of her technique and help to break it down and show you how to use it. Now, I'll let you know that the music will be in Arabic, just because that's the language that she's singing in. And I will try to make sure that I have my cursor to follow along where she is in the music. And then we'll take time to go back and listen to things that I think are important to listen to. So, with that being said, let's start and look forward to analyzing it. So, let's start from the beginning. So, if you don't know this hymn, it's one of the post-gospel idiomela, and I'll just also fix the cropping as well, and that you sing during Lent. And the reason why I chose it is just because it has a pretty wide range of emotion and expression in it, and I want to kind of show what she does to bring different things out within the piece. that sentence alone is enough to do a whole master class on and analyze and work through. But we'll start by just a couple things. So one, it's very different than Greek style chanting. It's almost, her voice is a bit more raw, but it has more color in it. The other thing is the sharp pa. It's pretty, I guess, natural in the Arabic style to hear it. In English, a lot of people ignore it, or they don't know about it. And it's pretty unfortunate because it's a very colorful note in this mode. And you can really use the attractions to bring out expression. So especially when you're going from ba, vu, the pa really wants to pull up to vu. So the vu tends to be a little lighter, and the pa tends to be a bit more colored or a bit more heavy. And the ornament she does here is also, again, very standard in Arabic, I guess the old style of Arabic Byzantine chant. It's hard to find chanters like that. And that's my personal school that I learned from, I guess you could say, is the old style Arabic chant from the Moor lineage, just because my dad learned from that lineage. I learned from him. I think he's my favorite male Arab chanter that I have, just because he's my mentor in that. But the ornament she does here, it's the da 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 da. It's very standard. So, hate to stop it. It's just these micro ornaments are so amazing, and these are things that you won't find in. I guess I do them in English, but a lot of people who sing in English who learn from the Greek style, they won't do it. It's these small, tiny ornaments that come from you kind of hitting notes with your vibrato. Do ba. It's that technique. Oh, it's that. That's the technique. It's using the vibrato to kind of attack another note before you sing the next note. So you're not really putting any weight on the other note, but it's the same technique as almost doing a trill in music. Same thing here. That's the technique there. It's that the vibrato that you can, use another note. So you're not really singing another note, you're vibrating onto the other note. And it allows for much more agility in the voice. I promise I'll let her sing. So the other thing you can listen to is also the slides that she does, like the reason why she does the slide and why it works, it's part of connecting the phrase. It adds different color to it, but the way you have to do it is you need to have a very solid foundation on the note you're starting on and the note that you're ending on. I know a lot of people who end up doing slides, and it's not because of expression or good technique. They do it because they don't have good technique or the good breath support. But when you slide and you're deliberate in the first and last note, you can do a ton with it. Like, you see, you can get much more color and energy in the sound. So, crazy techniques. And there's so much small stuff that she does in here. So the small stuff matters, but the whole thing is very expressive. There are people who are proponents of Byzantine should be emotionless or have no, feeling behind it. And those people, I say, take a hike. there's so much life in the text of our music and the music of our church. So why are you trying to water it down? There are people, in the age of information, you can't trust anything you see online. People will claim to have credentials on stuff and don't know what they're talking about. I just saw a video of somebody breaking down this person, very famous person's PhD, and saying it's basically bogus. And this guy has millions of followers. And in Byzantine chant, maybe you don't have that big audiences, but the same idea is there. Just because somebody says something doesn't mean that you should take it as dogma. Even myself, if I have an opinion on something, it's an opinion. It's not the end of the world if you disagree with it or someone else disagrees with it. But I'm not going to make it and say it's orthodoxy. I'm going to say it's just an opinion I have. And the idea here is the same. If someone says emotion doesn't belong in Byzantine chant, that's just their opinion. And as a nun who's singing this with so much expression in it, I say, what are you going to say? That someone who's a monastic can't sing with expression. So she's very good. Nice. So we have to talk about the mood change that she does here. The change to hard chromatic and adding a lot more of, I guess, crying ethos to it. Maybe that's kind of the term that I've coined, not me, but mentors I've met coined. And it's that when you do have a flora, it doesn't just mean you sing different notes. It means it changes the entire mood of the piece, or not the piece, but just the phrase that you're singing. So she does a great job at conveying that. And same thing, going back to the diatonic scale. A couple things I want to also point out is her phrasing is impeccable. So a lot of for some reason in American chant, people when they sing things slow, and I've heard so many people do it, and it really drives me crazy, is when they phrase each note, like they sing this weird way that each note is phrased, and it's like you would never speak like that. I'll give you an example. You would never speak like that. Rather, you phrase the whole idea. You would never speak like that. That makes it much more coherent. Same idea here. If you phrase each note, it's very incoherent. And at first it sounds cool, but then you realize it's kind of weird because you can't understand half the words, and it really puts you on edge. You're just like, oh, it just feels weird to hear it like that. It just gives you the feeling of like someone doing this on your knee. I don't know if you ever had someone do that. Just that, it gives you kind of that weird feeling. The same idea is there. When you're saying, why are you phrasing like, whoa, whoa, whoa? It's not really mature musicality. It's kind of immature. It's kind of like when you don't know how to be musical, you resort to that just because it sounds all right. But it really gets very old. And what she does here is this beautiful phrasing where she puts every note into a coherent idea, and that is amazing. Something that we should be really taking into account. We're going to keep going, and then after she's done, I'm going to talk a bit about range and how women should approach vocal range, because it's a very important topic. Let me just keep going. Ornaments that you won't find in America or Greece. It's amazing. Here it is. No bitahano nima. It's just such a much more vibrant in the ornament style, and it's amazing. I love it. Yeah, so phenomenal. If I could listen to her for hours a day and not get fatigued. But I want to talk about range. So you can notice maybe I struggle a bit on those lower notes just because I find myself more in the baritone tenor range. But for a lot of women, they like to pitch things lower. And they always wonder, man, my range is not that high. Well, I wanted to explain that reason why women sing with lower ranges. And why I think it doesn't have to be that way. And how to approach it. So, in every human, there's two ways you can produce a sound. You can, and burping doesn't count. That doesn't count here. But one of the ways is this muscle that works by shortening the vocal folds. So I don't know if you've ever had a rubber band and pulled it and flicked it a couple times. Fluck is not a word. Flicked is the right word. You flicked it a few times, it will vibrate into and make a pitch. But you notice that as you shorten it and flick it again, the pitch will go down. So what you do is you have a muscle that takes your vocal folds and pulls it like this to sing lower notes. And the thing is that the muscle can only, when the vocal folds are relaxed, the muscle is at like this level. It's like your bicep. You can do that, but you can only really put it that far. The vocal folds can only get certain, length. And for men, that length can vary, but oftentimes it can vary immensely. So sometimes guys, their highest note is like a D4, or sometimes the highest note is a D5. That's like a crazy high tenor. For women, oftentimes that only goes up to like about an F or a G, and sometimes up to like a C5. F4, G4 up to C5. Sometimes even higher if you can really train it. But what happens is that when the vocal folds are fully stretched, there's another muscle that can kick in that can help stretch it even more this way by pulling on it like that. Rather than pulling it this way, it can pull it that way to make it longer and increase the pitch. And that creates what men have as falsetto. Oh, mine is not that amazing, but there's some guys maybe will react to a counter tenor. We can talk about that. And there are some, and the woman will have the head voice. That is the other mode of singing. So a lot of women get frustrated because between G and C, they have to switch to, not G and C. Between F and G, they have to switch to their head voice for the rest of the range. But then they can't use that head voice any lower than that. Or vice versa. They can't use their chest voice higher than that. So a lot of women will lower the pitch of a note so that they will never have to use head voice. And my take is feel free to use head voice. You just have to commit to the switch and know where you're going to switch. If you have a D to D thesis that goes above the note, switch to head voice for that. It takes training, it takes time to learn it, but that's how you do it. Especially if you're singing with men, and the men, are not going to lower the pitch. You got to figure out, how do I use my head voice? And it's easy. You train it, and you figure out when you're going to make that switch and commit to the switch. When I say easy, I mean intellectually, it's not so hard to understand. Performing, it's difficult. So, with that being said, I was just wanting to explain why does the women tend to use, why do women tend to use lower ranges? And I think you don't need to use chest voice for everything. Oftentimes head voice provides a nicer contrast, a nicer color, and you can still create good color with head voice. Colors really can be extracted with how you open your mouth right. And the way she shapes her vowels is very important for that. I have tons of videos on that on this channel. So about not sounding nasally, how to open your mouth for singing and whatnot. You can find those later. So now we're going to look at the second piece. This is the tone 6 idiomela, and I'm just going to skip to it. I'll skip a bit more. Okay, here it is. So I recommend you listen to this as well. It's very nice. We'll start here.
يا رحيم ارحمني يا الله بحسب عظيم رحمتك وبحسب كثرة رأفاتك أمحو
Okay, I have to talk about this. So when you have a repeated note, people forget. You need to give it direction. You know. The idea is, you could crescendo, you could decrescendo, you could add ornaments. Some people do between each one. Don't do it every single one. Maybe one or two you can do it in. Let's see what she does. She does that there. Even in this, she does even more ornaments on already a heavily ornamented run. Let's go back. It's the change from cliton back to hard chromatic going down to knee and then back to hard chromatic going up to pa. Like the mood changes are just impeccable. It's beyond phenomenal. Like she brings you through all the emotions of the piece, and you're just on the ride with her, and you really feel the meaning of the text behind it. It's like the English text, like when I, the hapless one, bring to mind the multitude of my terrible deeds. That's that hymn in English. I tremble, and the way that she brings the words out in this with the floras is just, it's unmatched. I want to listen to it again. I want to tell you one more thing she does. She chooses, and first of all, vibrato belongs in Byzantine chant. Whoever says vibrato doesn't belong in Byzantine chant can't do vibrato. So, sorry, not sorry. But the idea is that she chooses when to straight tone, and that it's in and of itself is an ornament, choosing to straight tone. Choosing to straight tone it here is so much more contrasting, and it really brings out the words a lot better.
فإني أرتعد من يوم دينونة الراهي لكني إذ أنا واثق.
She scoops the high notes, but she knows where she's going. So that's why they don't land flat when she's done scooping. That's the one thing, though, that maybe I personally don't scoop on high notes very much. I tend to really hit them directly. But to scoop on them oftentimes is an interpretive idea. But if you're going to scoop on them, you really don't scoop on every one, and you really have to know the note that you're hitting. If you don't know the note you're going to hit, you're going to end up flat. And this is another thing you can see, like, right there, those higher notes. You can see, like, that's about the top of the range, of her range when it comes to using chest voice. So that's why she would choose to lower down the pitch. Let's go back, listen to it again.
إذ أنا واثق بتحنن أهتف إليك مثل
Good. So you might notice that she doesn't interpret the flat zo attraction. And that's because often in Arabic Byzantine chant, it's not something that you really interpret. A lot of people don't interpret attractions. Rather, the scales that they sing are often influenced so much by the, I guess the secular music. Not that she's secular at all. I just mean the influence of it. That you don't add attractions like the Greeks do. Rather, you stick to the pure scale. So that's why the diatonic scale in the Arabic tradition is so different, because they're not going to be afraid to make the zo a little flat, because that's just the tuning. That's what they're doing here. Again, the straight tone on the ka, resolving down to D with vibrato. Again, it brings a lot more tension. You might be like, why did you say irhamani? It's very common in Arabic to close to vowels. Close to consonants rather than open to vowels. It works with the letters M and N especially, like inna or umma. The idea is the same, because you can hum the letter. For things like f or r, where it's not really possible to, or t or k, you can't. But for humming sounds, in our language we have th, isn't really like th, it's not really as easy to do it. There's other ones. M and N are the biggest ones, because you can hum through them, and also closing to E's. So if in, like, for example, in English you have the word I, you'd sing like ah, and you don't sing the E, I, and then the E will just come. In Arabic you close to the I. So if I said I want something, then you have a very, that's kind of how you sing, talk with an Arabic accent, I guess. But the diction is very different than English. it's not a problem. The becomes like so that's not a big thing. So you can't sing Arabic with English diction. That doesn't work so well. But the ideas that we all talked about the ornaments and the expression and looking at vocal ranges are all very important. So I guess of course I'll link this music in the description, and I believe that YouTube channel also has a lot of other things to listen to from her. So I'll make sure to link that playlist down below. So my personal take on all this, after analyzing it, is to find someone who matches the tradition and the ornaments and the not just the style but the technique with the expression is so difficult in this day and age. A lot of people will post themselves chanting, and there's some good ones, but a lot of times you listen to it, you're just like, it's missing something. And I think that piece that's missing oftentimes is just almost the spiritual aspect of the music. And people will, I guess, maybe I'll go on a small tangent, but especially the religious like fundamentalist types that are like, it has to be this, no emotion, must be exactly as written, no ornaments or minimal ornaments. They take that and they think that they're being zealous by doing that. In reality, you're just hindering the expression. People who make the argument that I much prefer choir music to solo chanting haven't heard solo chanting that really invokes the soul to pray. And I think this is someone who without a doubt really does invoke the soul to pray. There's so much you can learn from her, and I highly recommend that you listen to a lot of her other recordings. So I know this video was a little long. I really want to take the time to listen to and analyze just a little bit of what she can do, because she can do a ton. Again, her name is Sister Katherine from the Monastery of St. Kyriaki in Lutro, Greece. She's a very resilient woman, as well as the other women in her monastery. So pray for them, and whatever ways you can find to support them. If you ever visit Greece and want to give them a visit, I highly recommend it. So that being said, I hope you found the video helpful. I'll have to make some other analysis videos of some other chanters I really like, talk about what they do and how we can learn from them and extract that, because I feel a lot of times people talk about wanting to listen to other chanters, but they say listen to other chanters, but I don't think they really understand what they're listening for. So I hope this video can help you, give you a more attuned listening process. So other than that, hope you found the video helpful. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate if you liked and subscribed. Other than that, I'll see you in the next one, and have a great day.